Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. It's that time of week where I go over my reactions to each NFL game. But again, since this was the last week of the season, I'm only going to do games that matter. So let's get started with the Saturday game between the Steelers and the Ravens. My reaction: Pittsburgh stealing a playoff spot. I would have rather seen that as like the Jaguars or someone else in the playoffs instead of Pittsburgh. But congrats to them on stealing the playoff spot, making the playoffs despite having offensive inconsistencies all year. And congrats to Tom. They're at least going to have another winning record. Congrats to all of them. Texans versus Colts. The drop. It could have been a better ball by Gardner Minshew, no doubt about it. But nevertheless, the receiver on 4th and 1 had the ball in his hands wide open, and he couldn't make the catch, so the Colts are out and the Texans are in. In the end, though, the better quarterback won, and the Texans honestly will be a more fun matchup with Cleveland, anyways. Buccaneers versus Panthers. The Buccaneers take over the South. The Bucks, despite it being an ugly game, wins the South for 3 seasons in a row now. We shall see what they can do in the playoffs, though. Jaguars versus the Titans. There is an uprising in Prince Lawrence's kingdom. Even if Trevor Lawrence is not playing at 100% these last few games, someone has to answer from going 8-3 to 1-5 and missing the playoffs after a promising start last year, or end the season last year and then start this year. So there will have to be some offseason decisions for sure on whose fault it was and what steps can be taken to avoid that in the future. Bears versus Packers. It's a perfect love story. No matter how far the Packers go in the playoffs, the fact that the Packers are in there and Love has progressed from now being at least a for sure start next year is amazing since I didn't have high hopes for them. Eagles versus Giants. The Philly Blues. Philly has a lot of issues going to the playoffs, whether it's injuries or just not playing well. We will see if they can just finally flip a switch for postseason play. Cowboys versus Commanders. McCarthy wins for now. Mike McCarthy gets the easy win to win a division, but he is not out of the woods yet because of loss this week and he's fired. And then if they don't make a Tennessee championship game losing next week, then he's going to be on the hot seat for sure. So we'll see how that goes. And then last but not least, Bills versus Dolphins. The Dolphins are leaving for the winter. Miami's just 1-5 against playoff teams this year, and it should be 0-6 in all honesty. And now Miami, who's been a bad road team against good teams all year, has to go play in 0-degree weather against the Chiefs instead of winning their division playing at home. Both Bills and Dolphins have major flaws, so it'll be interesting how far each of them goes in the postseason. So on Thursday, I believe, is when I'll reveal my first round, wild card round NFL predictions. Because I definitely want to get a few updates on injuries and stuff like that. But let's get started with. Also, I want to reveal my prediction for NFL awards. And let's get started with Coach of the Year. To me, there's just so many coaching candidates that deserve to be on here. It's hard to pick just three. There's so many, so I don't want to offend anyone for leaving them off. But my top three are Kevin Stefanski for Cleveland, Sean McVay for the Rams, and DeMeco Ryans for Houston. The fact that both Sean McVay and DeMeco Ryans got there after both having losing records last year, it's just insane to me. Well, I guess in Cleveland had a losing record as well. But it's just crazy that they're all three are now in the playoffs. But to me, I'm going to give the extra edge to Kevin Stefanski because at least with Sean McVay, you have Matthew Stafford. And at least with DeMeco Ryans, even though CJ Stroud's a rookie, it looks like he's the real deal. But for Kevin Stefanski to have Watson go out, and then you had P.J. Walker for 2 games, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson for 2 games, and then, now we're going to take Joe Flacco, who's all washed up off the couch, and make him look all good. It's like, to me, that's just the tiebreaker right there. I would go Kevin Stefanski for the winner. Offensive Player of the Year, you got either Tyreek Hill, receiver for the Dolphins, Christian McCaffrey, running back for the 49ers, or quarterback Lamar Jackson, Ravens. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey here. I feel like him and then the left tackle for the Niners as well is what makes the offense go. And I feel like when they're compromised, then Brock Purdy doesn't look as good, and the 49ers don't function as well offensively without him. Defensive Player of the Year, you got Myles Garrett, pass rusher for the Browns, Micah Parsons, pass rusher for the Cowboys, and T.J. Watt, pass rusher for the Steelers. For me, I'm going to go with Myles Garrett here. I mean, they've all three played really well, but I think Garrett has the best stats, and obviously, again, the fact that he's led the Browns defense and the Browns, in large part to the playoffs with, the way their offense is pretty amazing. I mean, of course, TJ Watt, you can say the same thing, but TJ Watt has had a few injuries that kept him out some games and stuff, but I'm going to go Myles Garrett there. Comeback player of the year, safety Damar Hamlin, even though he hasn't played that much, but he's still come back. Quarterback Joe Flacco for the Browns, and then pass rusher Kyle Van Noy for Baltimore. Um, the reason why I included him on there is because, kind of like Joe Flacco, he was on the couch at the beginning of the season, and then finally the Ravens called him up, and he goes in and plays, but he actually produces, has one of his best seasons actually, despite being 32 on the older side. But obviously this award, I mean, it was going to be Damar Hamlin, for most season, but then after what Joe Flacco did, it's clearly going to be Joe Flacco winning this award. Okay, Rookie of the Year, you got quarterback C.J. Stroud, wide receiver Puka Nacua, and tight end Sam Laporta for Detroit. Although Laporta has been great, it's basically between Nacua and Stroud, and both made the playoffs. So for me, the tiebreaker goes to Puka because he actually broke a record. Multiple records, but he broke a record. I feel like that's what makes the difference there. I wouldn't be surprised if Stroud wins it, but I think it should be Puka Nacua. And then last but not least, MVP, you got Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott, and then Brock Purdy. I don't think he's an MVP candidate, but most people do. But in the end, it's obviously Lamar Jackson after the way the season has ended for him in the past couple games. So there you go. Those are my predictions there. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year. Christian McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year, Puka Nacua, and Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Flacco. And there's other awards as well, but I don't really care about all those as much. So, but thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and learn about me. Now that college basketball started conference play, make sure to tune into that along with the NBA, and make sure to tune into tonight's championship game for college football, and then have fun watching NFL playoffs. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.